and welcome to another Kerfuffle webinar. And I am delighted to have Yazad and James from Checkboard. Gentlemen, how are you?
Yeah, doing very well, Simon. Very well, thank you.
Good. I like the minimalist background. That's good because it gives a bit of context against my rather loud pink background here. Guys, we're going to talk about, really pleased to have you on the platform, really pleased and excited to hear about your progress here. The title of the webinar today is, do you know everything about staying compliant? Now, you've got my attention here, but you know that compliance, it can sometimes be a dry area. So I'm depending on you guys to make sure that I understand, as a bit of a pleb here, just how important what you're doing is for everybody else. Okay, so that's your challenge over the next few minutes, is to make sure if I come out at the end of this thinking I get Checkboard, I get everything else here, you'll have done a good job. Because the good news is, if you can persuade me, you can get most of the industry on board. So can we just kick off kind of with the brief, kind of, not to get all Avengers and everything, an origin story, but give us just give us the background of where Checkboard came from, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, sure. I think the best place to start is my background in financial services. I started working in banking, did mortgages, and I did investments for a while. And I built up a property portfolio during that period of time. Yeah. Having that portfolio and facing all those rent arrears and the challenges with actually buying or selling them quickly, made things clear to me that there was a lack of verification of information up front. Yeah, especially with the tenants. I had several tenants provide rent arrears. I investigated it, looked at the tenant reference that was conducted, and I realized, Jesus, how did you know this person actually earned the amount they said he earned? Sometimes people use employers' references that were their mates, and I was like, there was no way this is the thing. Yeah. In banking, all we look at is your bank statements, your income, and your bank account information, and that's where the penny drops. Open banking would really help here, and I thought I can bring my banking experience to this problem and then tackle it from a banking perspective, where they've got below 1% default rates and arrears rates. Banks have to keep that number very low. So that's how Checkboard came about.
So come from a real world problem solution that you thought you could solve. That's always the nicest ones there. And I mean, just yourself getting involved with it, you've obviously seen an increasing level of compliance being required over the years. I mean, that's one of the most obvious things, isn't it? It's not slowing, is it, really, in this
No. It's definitely not slowing at all. And that's one of the things that we aim to solve very well. Ensuring that before you interact and transact with any applicant of yours, you know everything you need to know about them. You know exactly the amount of money they earn, not fraudulently verified, but accurately verified from their bank account or from other manual sources that we use. You ensure that you've captured the money, you comply with the money laundering regulations when dealing with a person. We provide all this information included. Then with that, you can have happy clients, because I'm a landlord. If an agency is ensuring that my properties are, completely rent arrears free, and then all the tenants are, great tenants, I'm more likely to give that agent more properties. Or if the word gets around that these guys did a great job, they verified the proof of funds of all my potential buyers, and no buyer messed around, I am more likely to make great referrals off the back of that. So compliance, although it's a very boring subject, it has real world impact. It actually has an impact on how an estate agency goes about selling their services to other sellers.
I always joke about it, but of course, the compliance angle is, it's just inescapable, isn't it? And you've got to operate in that field. So if you are going to operate in that field, you might as well do it better than anybody else, hadn't you? Actually, the key thing about compliance is when it's done well and when it's done simply, it actually frees you up to concentrate on the core business activities, isn't it? If you haven't got slick procedures and suppliers like you in place to help out with this, then it's gonna feel like a minefield to navigate your way through. And that's what I love about, actually, if I come back on it, that's what I do like about anyone that can help you out of this tricky area and give you a solution is going to be, is going to be popular in my eyes. So are there any other sort of challenges or things like that a Checkboard helps solve for the agents, or is that the main angle?
So the main angle is obviously the tenant referencing, but equally the proof of funds. So if you think about it, somebody comes to an estate agent going, I've got £1 million in cash and I want to buy this house. The agent has to rely on a bank statement that the person provides currently. Now, I can tell you easily, you can quickly download Adobe, find a bank fund online and edit the number. Yeah. You might not do that. The only reason why I can see someone doing that is because they want to buy themselves time because the money's coming at some point. They might be selling a business or something of sort. So you might just go, look, I know the money is coming. Let me just provide this document here to just help me get the transaction to the right point and time everything. But when that timing goes wrong, which it does happen, you've got a situation where the seller's on the other end, the agent's stuck in the middle of a reputational problem, and the buyer's going, geez, it's all going wrong. I might as well pay that now.
Yeah, especially if it's a chain.
Exactly, especially if it's a chain, right?
Yeah.
So what does Checkboard solve? Right up front, the agent knows the money is in the bank. And if it's not in the bank, the agent is aware of that and goes, look, the money's not in your bank. What's going on? And this is equally a massive piece of what we do alongside the providing the compliance, AML checks and everything else. So we didn't want to just sell AML checks and boring stuff, Let's call it boring. In truth, it is a mandatory and mundane thing you have to do. We thought, let's add on some very amazing things which actually have real life benefits to people. And that is where the open banking piece comes in. It gives you that peace of mind to say to your seller, hey, this guy's actually got the money in his bank account. It's evidence by open banking and he's good to go.
And I'm not aware of anything that isn't improved by transparency. So if you're giving more of that to the agent themselves, they're going to be in a better position from a knowledge point of view. They can make better decisions themselves, can't they? So that makes. And so, guys, just give us an idea. Is this live or is it in pre-release? What stage are you at in terms of the journey of Checkboard, in terms of the actual, minimum viable release and all those kind of things?
Yeah, I think it would be great to say that we are fully live. I think it's taken us quite a long time to get here. I think many people will say it's taken a long time, but in essence, it's only actually been a year. But when you're there trying to sell the product.
That's nothing. Gmail was in beta for 7 years. You don't have to apologize, guys. That's Google. They took their time with it. Look, if it was simple, stupid, wasn't it? Is the old argument, everyone would be doing it. The good things in life obviously take a time to hone. And I think one thing you start to realize is that agents are now starting to realize actually good tech does take a while to get right, doesn't it? And I think
100%. It definitely does.
Area to bring it all together. I know, although open banking is kind of, people have heard it, they're aware of it, but to make it fit into a particular niche and make it work, that takes time just to get it right, doesn't it?
That is literally bang on. I think, many people think they can just access the data through open banking and that's it, and then display that information. But the reason why we took quite a long time as well is actually analyzing that data to be able to allow users to accurately verify what their income is. So, typically the bog standard, if you have access to open banking data, the system will just try and pick out aspects and then just display it. Whereas we actually allow users to indicate which aspect within their online bank statements is actually their income. This then allows us to actually evaluate. We're able to, copy that through their statements. We can see how long it backdates for, and then we present all of this information to the end user so they can see if they're, for example, salary's been changing, fluctuating, increasing, decreasing, or if it's stable. All these extra facts and figures that we present to the end user, they can actually say, okay, I can now make an informed decision, which, in turn can reduce the chance of rent arrears as well.
Great. Well, that's obviously very helpful itself. So give us guys, then, if you can break it down like that, can you give us the 3 main USPs of the Checkboard solution then, just so that we can really, ram this home for those people watching?
100%. Yeah. So, as we can expect, the funny thing is we were doing a few trials before we fully launched. And what we evaluated was, and what agencies basically spoke to us is that, hey, I don't have a platform for both lettings and sales. I need to use a different platform now to verify my buyers or sellers.
Very frustrating. Yeah.
So we found that quite funny because, when we were just going through that, we was like, hey, why don't we do that? So our system can fully cater for both lettings and sales. So you can verify tenants, landlords, buyers and sellers to enable your business to stay fully compliant. So that's one key USP. The other key USP, as I mentioned, was the open banking aspect. But because I said that, we can mention in regards to our integrations. We've now integrated with 18 CRM systems.
Wow. So okay, straight away then. So it's not like you've been sat on your laurels the last year then.
No.
I think that's really important, obviously, given my background, even though it is getting more of a background now, in the CRM spaces. I would know categorically that, you'd see suppliers going out there to agents and they would say, I've just got too much on my plate. I've got too much of a Jenga pile in terms of my tech stack. I'm not having something else in there that isn't connected. So they would be increasingly saying, look, it's got to be integrated with my CRM. So, rekeying of data, single sign-on and all that stuff is not an issue anymore there. So, sorry, did you say 18?
Yeah, 18. It does vary depending on some integrations. Like, for example, I know Desres is a key part of Kerfuffle. We do have a full integration, so you can get a report straight back inside the system as well. Obviously, some other integrations are just strictly an API feed. So, it does vary, and we do that to cater to the estate agency. So, if they do want more, we have had requests for more. We've had requests for someone to use the Rex integration as well. So we're now going to start that Q1 2022. So as you can see, we're quite a proactive company in that sense.
Very much so, yeah, that's really good. I'll tell you what you need to make sure there, guys. I'm not having a look in the background while we're doing it, but one of the key things we always say on our, on our landing pages that we have on the, on kerfuffle.com, where you sit, there is a nice big button there that agents should pay an attention to called integration. So if you haven't got those listed on there, make sure you get those, because people will want to just go and check if their CRM is covered there, because I think that's quite a big thing for people, isn't it, these days? They love to be able to just say, oh, that's great to know what it looks like. Clearly they can talk to you and find out what that integration looks like, because it does differ, as you've highlighted, but that's a really nice angle there. So that's really good. That's really good.
And what you mentioned there, Simon, is great. I do want to allow agencies to actually come to us and have a conversation. I've started to free my Fridays up. I've been posting LinkedIn. We've had a few agencies use it as well, to have an independent review in regards to their compliance checks, how they're performing. Yeah. We're not going to scream and shout about Checkboard. They already know it's Checkboard because they're coming to myself. But we can actually see if their system's in place and, what other things are in the market as well. So, that's available for estate agencies.
Very clever, by the way. I like your angle there. I'm freeing up Fridays. I've been trying to free up Fridays so that I'm out of the picture on the afternoon since I was 20, actually, to be fair. So very, very, very clever.
I had to make some sort of excuse for giving James
admin and demo day.
Exactly, Simon. Yeah. Okay, whilst I've got a cider and a beer in my arm.
Right now, I've got to get down and grubby because I'm that sort of person here. So, guys, highlight here: what's the cost of the agent? How do the commercials look?
Yeah. Well, if I can say, we're probably the most affordable in the market in terms of what we offer. So we charge £8 per property for unlimited checks. So, for example, if you've got property for lettings, you've got the tenant and the landlords you have to verify. If you can verify a limited number of those for £8.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
So, as you can imagine, for example, take for the landlords and the sellers, we do a land register check as well. Yeah. If an estate agency wanted to a manual land register check, it'd cost them £3. Yeah. But we include that part of the package, so you can find out whether they're on the name in the deed, or whether it's a freehold or leasehold property as well.
So I'm guessing you can only do it at these kind of prices because of the robustness of the tech that you've got in place. Is that right? I mean, that's normally where you start seeing people able to, make a big impact on the typical pricing in places.
Yeah, exactly. It's because of our automated aspect in terms of open banking. But the great thing about it is that we do understand in this market, open banking isn't 100% there yet. There has to be some manual intervention. So our tenant referencing has the manual aspect, so we can cater with, manual bank statements, manual contracts, and our team and customer service team, they are always on hand to actually, verify this information and push it through. The other aspect is obviously we've had some agencies wanting a per check basis as well, instead of a per property. So we do offer that as well if you do tie into a contract with ourselves for a year or 6 months. So that option is available as well.
Excellent. Cool. And is this available to all agents? Is it across the board, or are there any kind of caveats for who it can't fit for?
No, it fits for all estate agencies. It is available for everyone. So, anyone can just sign up on our dashboard, have a call to ourselves. We can have a full demo of the platform. We can have a follow-up call as well, just to make sure that, they're comfortable and that they're moving through the process as comfortable as they can.
And how I don't want to rush things. I've been accused of that in the past. How obviously agents are incredibly time poor at the moment. How quickly, just in all honesty, would it take just to have a quick kind of a quick demonstration for you guys to understand what you do?
Yeah. So a demo. Right now, sorry.
No, not now. No, just in terms of if they want to jump on a call with you, just how long should they set aside, basically?
Well, a demo I typically set aside around 30 minutes. Which is not too long at all. We've got a really fancy
episode of Loose Women. Come on, I was going to say Jeremy Carr, but unfortunately that's been
axed. Yeah. So it's just 30 minutes.
Half an hour out of time just to find out, get your compliance in order, understand what you guys are doing differently. And
exactly.
Guys, you mentioned there obviously the open banking side, but you said it's got a little bit further to go there. Just talk us through that kind of dynamic there. I'm a complete pleb, so of course I've just heard that open banking is here and everything else. What is there that needs to happen then on the kind of wider open banking side of things that's gonna be even more exciting to come going forwards?
Yeah, so when it comes to open banking, where we are presently is consumer adoption.
Yeah,
that's the key, tipping point that everybody's trying to go over. Now, consumer adoption for Checkboard means agencies letting consumers understand, hey guys, this is the quickest way to do it. This cuts your referencing time down from 2 days to potentially 15-10 minutes, and I'm sure you like that. Once you get over that hurdle with open banking, you then start approaching a very exciting space, and that space is how to better utilize open banking data. You've got things such as ongoing monitoring of people's open banking information for the period of the transaction, for example. Things get very exciting in terms of keeping that transparency. Imagine doing a transaction with someone and you're going, okay, across the whole chain of 6 people who are in a chain, I can keep track as an estate agent of everybody's cash position to understand where the risk could be. These are all the things you can achieve with open banking that you presently can't do as an estate agent. And this is where, increase in adoption would allow everybody to achieve this and achieve seamless property transactions.
James, when you said that it was going to be, open banking was going to be exciting, I was going to be a bit sneery. And then actually, you at the 11th hour with that example, that really is exciting, isn't it? That going forwards. And talk to us about obviously, as soon as you get into the idea of banking, and obviously, people if fraud and everything, how safe is open banking? I mean, my understanding is that actually it increases the safety, doesn't it, in terms of the things that they're doing at the moment? So is that again, is that a little bit of knowledge too dangerous?
So let's put it this way. Presently, how do people share information? They will provide their bank statements, right? Naturally, I would speak to, an estate agent and I'll provide my bank statement. I go down the road, I speak to another estate agent, I provide my bank statement. These bank statements get stored in either people's cabinet, it gets stored on people's email addresses or people's laptops, right?
Yeah.
Now that bank statement gives that information available to anyone that sees it, okay? Fortunately, with open banking, we don't even get to see the information directly. So it's all kind of going through an algorithm. It's all going through like a calculation. It's going through some form of a system which is picking out the information that's necessary for the purpose it is used for. But in our case, I personally don't look at the transactions unless it is a mandatory requirement or there's something gone wrong.
Yep.
Right. But when those transactions come in, the person selects what they need to, what is relevant. Our algorithms go into that and pick out everything else and present a neat picture, not the transaction. It just presents a summary, a neat picture. You think about when you use QuickBooks. So the people in QuickBooks don't get to see your bank transactions, but what you do is you pull all your transactions from your bank account to be able to quickly sort what is relevant for your accounting. That's exactly the same thing we do, in a nutshell. So it's much safer because no individual sees this information. It's all ring-fenced and it's protected. So it's safer in your bank statement and it's more secure and it's more fraud-proof than bank statements which can be edited. So it's a whole different ballgame.
James, I've got a dinner party tonight, and I can now tell them that I'm going to say, so what do you guys know about the safety of open banking? And I'll do a Chinese whispers version of you're there talking about algorithms and that makes actual perfect sense to me, and I think that's that's a really important point. It's not just the convenience, because a lot of people will see convenience as actually as, oh well, are you lessening the checks? The really exciting part of this is we're improving at all stages of speed, availability, and security, and that's a pretty exciting area to get to again unlock these deals, isn't it? Really about it. Yeah. And you mentioned there, obviously, you've been working over the course of the year. Have you been working with agents already, or where are you up to? I mean, do you have agents using this, I suppose, is my question.
Yeah, we do have agencies using ourselves. So we had a massive push recently. We fully launched in the articles online and things like that. So currently we've got around 111 agencies using ourselves, and roughly around 290 accounts, I think, last time I've checked. And they vary between landlords as well, included, because landlords can use our platform for tenant referencing. So it basically states that, in the short time we've had agencies using ourselves. Now it's just the next step, obviously with the help of this and with Kerfuffle and everything, to get us even more out there.
Great, lovely to hear. And are there any other kind of interesting stats that you can share to highlight, obviously the Checkboard solution out there to the audience?
So the interesting stats I would like to share is, for tenant referencing, what we've identified is between 60 and 70% of people. Well, it broadly ranges. It depends on the area of the property. In London, you have a higher adoption of open banking. Yeah. The further out you go from London, your adoption rate drops. Yeah. If you head toward the north, you're looking at, just under 50%. Yeah. From what we've seen through our platform.
Because we haven't been leveled up yet. That's in our defense. We're still waiting for the leveling up. Once we do that, we'll be as good as that London.
yeah. And interestingly, the higher the income of a person, the higher the adoption of open banking.
Yeah, okay.
Right, which is also very interesting. Now that moves me over to a very interesting stat on the property sales side of things. And this is the reason why presently we actually believe there's a gold mine here. Adoption rates within a property sales is around 100%. Wow. Meaning every single person that's come to our platform to evidence proof of funds, they've done it and they've actually preferred doing that versus showing their bank statement.
That's great, isn't it? That's Well, I asked for a stat, you gave me.
Sorry, we gave you a few there, Simon.
That's really good. But that again, sometimes you can get too insular, can't we? We're focusing on, obviously, we're talking about it here. We're talking about how the agent does it, but ultimately, does the end consumer see the benefit and everything else there? That's absolutely vital, isn't it?
So, exactly. I think the key thing that goes wrong with adoption with this is agencies are scared that, oh no, my client's not going to like it. No, they're not going to want to use it in this way. No, they're not going to want open banking. But it's because they haven't been able to evaluate that journey that they're scared. But what we found is consumers are very happy. Our customer service team would speak to them and have a chat with them in regards just to move them through the process or get them started, or if they've got any questions. And it seems like, they can actually go through the whole flow themselves.
Sorry, James, go on.
One very interesting thing I wanted to add to what you guys are saying is we've had several £1 million transactions go through our platform. And those clients absolutely loved it. They were like, "This is amazing. Everything should be done."
Are they just savvy? I don't want to be rude to the lower earning demographic, but is it just because that top end are just more savvy like that, and they expect this level of service these days? Or
I think it's hard to put it onto anything. I think the more comfortable people are with their banking information, or more comfortable they are with their bank account and the relationship with money, the more likely they are to understand open banking is more secure than those who are not at that point. So it can be done to an income thing, but equally somebody could be, on the lower end of the income spectrum, but be very close to their money, and they would be more likely to use open banking because they understand that. But that's if you have more money, you're more likely to interact with your banks more. You're more likely to be aware and more up to date with banking trends and general trends. So you're more likely to be more comfortable with it.
I get that. And what you was just saying there as well is you got to be quite careful these days. Never has it been more easy to misunderstand a demographic, isn't there? The famous silver surfers that are out there now. You might have been able to say this before, dare I say it, things like lockdowns, but you've now got pensioners that are, they're zooming across the world. They're using Calendly to book appointments. They're Facebook into groups there. Things have they've just changed forever exponentially, haven't they? There, and I think that's why I think it is really interesting to see how that will change, won't it? There, and just expectation levels. Sorry, as well. The thing I was kind of giggling as you were talking there, Yazan, which is of course incredibly unprofessional, but that's where I come from. But the reason why I was laughing was when you were saying, some people are maybe not ready for it. I remember back in the day when we used to sell kind of landlord portals and vendor portals. And, this is literally only going back, not much more than a decade. So we're not talking about, not back in like
when the internet first started.
But some agents' reticence. Oh, this is, it's what, put all this information up there? No, it's never going to, And what was fascinating was this is even before the likes of Purple Bricks and the onlines came and changed that kind of tech space anyway forever. But of course there were some people saying this, and I said, well, when was the last time you went into your bank? And it's like, well, never. It's like, so you're willing to use to use the online banking for the most important thing you do, but you think that your clients aren't going to be wanting that same level of convenience. It's self-service, and this type of thing has to be the absolute central element for, I would suggest, the majority of the modern consumer, isn't it? And you're just going to get left behind the curve really quickly if you're not on board with this.
Yeah, 100%. Because what I see happening is when open banking adoption starts to increase, because open banking allows transactions to, from 2-3 days to 15 minutes to evaluate your income, less intervention. I feel because of the influx of leads that are coming in at the moment, especially for rental properties, for the sales properties as well, some people will get left out. If they don't go through the automated option and they've just got a buyer that can proceed straight away with proof of funds verification, and through open banking, they've got money in the bank and everything, it can be tough because they'll be pushed through. And especially for rentals, we're already seeing that as we speak at the moment. We're already seeing people get pushed out because, this person's just come in, he can afford it. Okay, let's get in, contract signed, move in next week. So that's also going to be a tough thing as well coming in soon.
And again, don't shout at me because I've got to ask these questions, but are there similar products out there? It strikes me that I've heard kind of, if you were to look from the outside in, that there are similar competitors like this. If there are, how do they differ apart from obviously not having you guys at the helm? There you are, blow a bit of smoke. What's the difference between your solution and any others out there?
I'll tell you categorically, on the tenant referencing side, there are several people utilizing open banking. Okay, that's nothing new there. The difference is how we do it, right? So everybody else, and I can tell you, this is probably going to tank a lot of referencing providers, and they're probably going to have to change the way they do things.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, that's how the chips go. But everybody else is essentially acquiring the income validation from a third party, right? Meaning they outsource. They connect to your bank account and they outsource the income verification to someone else.
Yeah.
Now that relies on the third party getting it correct and then feeding it back to you. Then you've obviously got, accuracy information. So accuracy of the information is around 80% if you outsource the income verification. We initially did that. We've made those mistakes. Earlier in the year, we were outsourcing our income verifications, and we had quickly identified incomes were coming out, correct only 75% to 80% of the time. So we brought the income verification process in-house, meaning we now assess the transactions with our algorithms. We have used the information that is provided by the user, as well as what our algorithms pick up, to increase the accuracy of the information from 80% to 95 to 100%. Over the last 6 weeks, we've got 100% accuracy information. So that's what we have achieved. And that's where we stand out, in comparison to our competitors. So
in my simplistic mind, that strikes to me like where the likes of Apple have, at some stage they have partners, don't they? And then they say, actually, we need to do this better. We need to own this better. And whether that's the transistors or whatever else is, they bring that in-house to improve the proposition, don't they? So it sounds you've been through that kind of journey there based around, actually you've looked at this statistically, haven't you? And you found that that's how it needs to work. You've just gone quiet.
Sorry, I want to mute. So that's correct. But equally, we really drive the name Checkboard home, right? Meaning we haven't stopped there with open banking checks. We haven't stopped there with AML checks. We've actually included an registry check. We've included, compliance checks like anti-money laundering, sanctions, PEP, several other checks, so that you don't really have to call different and go to different places to get the information you're looking for. You can literally just go to Checkboard and we pull the different information from different places on your behalf.
Great, that's good. And how do you kind of guarantee the accuracy and simplicity at the same time? How do you manage to do that, guys?
So, the amount of time, as I said at the start of the call, we spend a lot of time improving our proposition. We spent time working with agents. We spent time getting it wrong. I think that's something that it's probably usually frowned upon, but we have got it wrong initially, and we have improved on the information that we have got wrong to become a very strong proposition. From the mistakes, we've looked into the data, something's gone wrong, and we've looked into the data and we've gone, okay, this is not working. So we need to make it more accurate. We need to make it more reliable. And we probably need to simplify it. And the simplicity that we thought was, rather than us trying so hard to over-engineer everything, let's get the user involved. Let's get the tenant involved in helping us get it right. And by including the tenant in the journey, we were able to increase the accuracy massively. If you gave me a bank statement and you told me to look at it to figure out how much you earn, it will take me a while, or I might get it wrong. I might be like, oh, you got some money here, and what is that? But if I ask you, hey, Simon, tell me, which of these should I be looking at? Which of these are important? You don't focus my attention. Exactly. You don't focus my attention. You focus my algorithms to know exactly what I'm looking for. And that's the way we've managed to increase the accuracy massively and reduce,
stop dropping algorithms in, that's like catnip to a prop tech person. But okay, that really makes sense, and I like the idea. Obviously, you'd have been mad not to, but to look at every I hate that phrase, stakeholder, but to look at what the tenants are, the difficulties they're getting currently, and what they'd like to see in there. It sounds obvious, doesn't it? But by listening to them, obviously you're going to improve the proposition for all, aren't you?
100%.
Great. And again, bit greedy, but then you can see the size of me. So you've already done a huge amount in the last year, but what have you got on the roadmap? What have you done for me lately?
Yeah, we've got quite a few things in the roadmap. We definitely have quite a few things. Majority of these things are actually coming from the individual agencies that we've signed up as well, and obviously our great minds.
Always blame them. Never, nothing's ever come from the client base. It's all
it was all us. So one aspect was the sales progression aspect. We've got a few avenues down there. as well, which will allow estate agencies, to fully be in touch with, all stakeholders within the transactional process. The other aspect, I think the other fancy word that everyone's liking to use at the moment is fintech. So everyone loves fintech. Everyone loves.
To be honest, I'm bored of prop tech now. I want to move into the fintech space.
Yeah, exactly. And that's James. James comes from a financial background.
Yeah.
So we tailored this next solution for banking, mortgage brokers, professionals. So it allows us to have those conversations from when we were talking about agency types. We know estate agencies pass financial service leads over to their brokers. We know large agencies already have their own bureaus anyway. So that allows us to cater with that solution. But Simon, I think we can definitely talk about it off air, but at the moment, that's all I can say.
It's okay. I'll pretend we've gone off air and I'll keep streaming sort of. No, it's okay. Look, the whole point is, guys, you're obviously on Kerfuffle now. When you've got something new to tell us, you just let us know and we'll obviously get the update out there. So that we'll be very excited. So as long as it's an exclusive, if he goes to Christopher Watkins first, I'll be really annoyed. But
don't worry, Simon. I can tell you right now that we'll give it to you.
Take that, Watkins. No. Okay, look, so let me just try and summarize. First of all, I didn't think, normally I'll feign interest in some of these ones. And if I'm not feeling the vibe with the compliance product, 15, 20 minutes in, I'll be looking at my watch and I'll be up there. I think the fact you've got some really interesting angles there, obviously in this vital area. Obviously it's a deal enabler, isn't it? Nothing happens without this taking place. So there's nothing more important in terms of this building block being the most effective it can possibly be. I mean, just summarizing it here and then, you've got an all-in-one compliance platform for sales and lettings. That's a great one straight off there. Affordable. You've got, because of the tech, because of what you have, the way you've done this, you're able to deliver this at a really competitive price in terms of out there. And that fantastic one, which normally, you do need to be applauded for this. I know there's some really, really big prop tech providers out there that are still fighting for CRM integrations, 10, 20 years after they've launched. So for you to have had that thoughtfulness to have gone out there and got that in place already with all those CRM providers is really, really powerful. Guys, have you got anything, any reasons why they should come to you from the Kerfuffle platform, or is there?
Yeah, there's something special. It's not on Kerfuffle yet, but I was having a think about it last night. James and I were having a discussion about it. So I think what we want to do is 2 months absolutely free of charge for any Kerfuffle members.
I don't know when this is going out, but it's around Christmas time at the moment, and if you won't get a better Christmas present than that, guys. So I think the key thing is here. It's 2022 here. We're all looking to do stuff better, to build better bills, a business process platform, and everything else. There's not a better time than to try your particular solution here to see if this solves this all important thing going forwards. Is there?
100%, yeah, because the key thing is, what people think compliance is expensive. It's not. It's affordable. We're here. We give you everything, proof of funds verification, everything that we spoke about. We're here to serve the estate agency. Perfect.
Guys, really, really enjoyed that. Sounds like you've really got a different take on it, and that's what I like, is obviously always, the nuances about how you're doing something differently. So you've thought that through clearly. James, with your background there, it's clear to see where it's come from. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you, guys. Thank you for updating us. I hope that you've enjoyed watching it, guys. Please keep us updated. I'd love to talk to some of your clients over the coming months as well and get it from the horse's mouth. I think that's always the next step for us.
100%, definitely. Yeah, we're going to be setting that up ourselves as well. But yeah, we'll definitely do it through Kerfuffle as well.
Oh, well, you've said the right things here, so you've got VIP treatment. James Yazza, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.